So I'm going to call the number that was given to me by Essex PD to file a restraining order. I'll call that number tomorrow morning, and I will have to go to Essex Library to finish the paperwork. I'm going to ask them if they have a fax number so I can fax it to them and let them know that they have with the team of stalkers who ultimately work for the police and DHS and Ann Bondi and my ex-boyfriend and Weinberger and corrupt cops are trying to prevent me from getting that paperwork filed in Burlington. And I believe what they were trying to do yesterday was set me up somehow, and then they would call police and say, she's got this, she's got that, she did this, she did that. And then the police are in on it, and then the corrupt cops would show up and arrest me or whatever. They're going out of their way to try to prevent me from filing that restraining order, which tells me maybe Judge Shafritz isn't so corrupt after all. Maybe they don't want her finding out that Caton ran a sham on her court on behalf of Weinberger and Hoare and whoever else, and police and Blondie and whatever. And that's not a bar association issue. That judge gets to file. That judge gets to decide who goes to jail. And that goes for Emmett Wood, too. Emmett Wood's part of this crap, too. So, I'm going to let them know that I need a fax number, and I will fax them the paperwork, and then I will mail it to them so they can get the actual, they can go ahead and put that in front of because the two judges that signed off on Autumn Caton's malicious perjury, basically, and Hoare, they're conflicted, so they're going to have to go to the judicial oversight and say, who did we give this case to overlook this and start making decisions, and then they're going to have to notify Judge Shafritz and the other judge that there's an investigation on Autumn Caton, Judge Hoare, Weinberger, and they're going to have to kick it over to McAfee. And probably the court's going to have to notify Sarah George because these people are impersonating victims advocates from her office. Even though I'm going to print up the email that I sent to Sarah George telling her that, I still believe they're probably mandated to report to her directly. And then if McAfee doesn't get on the phone immediately and report it to Sarah George is going to have her by the short curls. I duped him today. I knew I was coming to Starbucks here in Essex Junction, but when I went on to Google Maps to look up the bus schedule, I typed in Green Mountain Transit. Sure enough, they had Robert, who's in with Loretta and Patricia. They had him get on at the dispensary, and as soon as he gets on, I was at the dispensary. So they had him get on early to follow me in, and then they had somebody on me before I ever left Essex. So they were probably hoping I would go to the library or go downtown to do whatever. And then a lot of these people that solicit me for wanting to sell me bupas, they're people. So basically, anybody who wants to sell me anything, they have to come out to Essex PD. I'm not going to go back into Burlington PD jurisdiction until that paperwork is on. I'm going to, if they don't give me a fax number to fax it to them tomorrow, I will take it to the post office and send it, return receipt requested. And since it's going to go from Burlington to Burlington, they'll have it in the matter of 48 hours. And I will get a signed receipt in my mailbox so they can't say they didn't get it. Another reason for that is to prevent Lance at the post office from obstructing it and fucking with it. It'll have a tracking number, so if he fucks with it, to try to keep it from going to the courthouse. And that's another thing I got to tell her. While I'm at the library, I'm going to print up photos of Darla Munoz, and that's going to be included in the paperwork because they're in. Let them know she works for Homeland Security and she was involved in a bunch of murders, and she's behind it. And I'm going to print up a photo of. I'm going to have to take a screenshot of a video of Piper from Arizona because none of the video I got over here is good enough to use. So I got my flash drive. My flash drive stays on me at all times. I got a flash drive. I'll have to pull up an old photo or a video and take a screenshot of it, a still shot of it, to include in the paperwork. And then I'm going to include several photos. And I'm going to include links to videos of Bill Kinnear, Loretta, I'm best friends with the mayor. So that whoever gets this case isn't going to be able to say, oh, I'm a conspiracy theorist, I'm a liar, I'm this, I'm that. And I'm going to refer them to Green Mountain Transit Security, head of security, Dan, who... and Cousy and the state police for any of their surveillance video of Caton, Burl, and their friend from Cambrian Way, who was dropping Judge Hoar's name and Weinberger's name and saying that they, naming these people as working for them as private eyes, harassing me, only they claimed they were victims of them too, so they've already said these people are private investigators, though unlicensed, for the mayor and Judge Hoare. Only they pretended to be victims of said PIs and then claimed to be best friends with Bernie Sanders or Sarah George or whoever. So they were distancing themselves. So either way, they've snitched themselves out so bad that I let them just, that's why I went along with it and let them really think I was going along with it for so long, because they've woven such a tangled web. They've snitched on themselves and their Epstein partners in crime and the police and politicians and the homeless shelters and the doctors and Dr. Lincoln and everybody so bad, they ain't getting out of it. And they sent some guy from the Salvation Army's involved too. And they sent some guy to smear the little guy who's friends with, her name's Becky, I think. She used to live out there. And friends with me. He's homeless. His name's Kenny. He had a beard. Always wore that green sleeping bag coat. He had a blood clot. They discharged him from the hospital. They were supposed to do surgery. His leg was swollen. They gave him some blood thinners and sent him out. And they knew, apparently they know they discharged him. They did not take proper care of him because they sent the guy from Salvation Army, big ugly fuck. I cussed him out right in front of Kenny. I told Kenny what the guy did, and then I cussed him out in front of Kenny. And I said, anyway, they told this guy from so the hospital told Salvation Army to have this guy pretend to have a blood clot, and then he says, oh, I got a blood clot. Kenny don't take care of himself. He drinks and he smokes it. Kenny ain't drinking. Basically smeared him, made it look like Kenny was doing something that he shouldn't do to justify their MTAL violations. And I said, motherfucker, don't even. You don't get to smear any patient as justification for patient dumping. And he just ignored me and said, oh no, Salvation Army ain't under investigation. Motherfucker, who are you to tell me who's under investigation? Wait. So I cussed him out today.